Welcome to Königssee, Germany. Not far from Berchtesgaden. We're here for women's monobob. Heat 1 of 2, 15 sleds from 10 different nations in this exciting new sport that will be an Olympic medal sport in Beijing in 2022. We're on one of the oldest tracks, the first ever refrigerated track built for bob and skeleton and luge, built in the late 60s. And the track, whoa, we saw an exciting women's skeleton race, a great men's bob race this morning. Cynthia Appiah has the start record here in the Monobob series, Canadian athlete that we'll see in the field today. 4 S's, this is what I call like an amusement park ride. You get them right, you get rewarded in this long straightaway. It's not a straightaway, it's a bend away. You gotta hit a couple times. And now the Kreisel, wow. You don't believe it until you see it live. And then the exit with a slingshot effect, you hope. Down into this Kelstein, big sweeping left, then another pressure right into the Ecovon. Now watch, you go uphill. Gravity sport here at bobsledding. You can't make a mistake going uphill to the finish, which is right here. Cynthia Appiah, the track record, 54.75. It's about 4 seconds slower than a 2-man or a woman's bobsled. Exciting opportunity to view one of the newest Olympic sports here today in Königssee. John Morgan here at the track, that beautiful setting, not far from Lake Königssee. There's one of the favorites in the competition, Mariana Yamanca, then Kaylee Humphries, who won last week in St. Moritz. There's our Russian, Nazda Sergeeva. She's won on this circuit before. You know, and the athletes warming up. Brianna Walker of Australia, she won one of the events earlier this year in Innsbruck. And Martin Haven, this is different for us calling these athletes. It's a different, you know, a different event totally.
Well, really different for them as well, because although the sled looks largely the same, it's the same dimensions as a 2-seater sled, there's only one person in it. So the weight is different, the handling is different. So our start list with Stephanie Schneider having her second monobob race. The first was in St. Moritz last week, very successful for her. But one withdrawal, there will not now be Katy Bile of Austria starting number 9. She's got a problem with her knee. It's inflamed again after training, so she is having the day off today to make sure that she is ready for tomorrow's women's bobsleigh race. It is the 3rd Women's Monobob World Series race at a World Cup race weekend. Stephanie Schneider of Germany gets the race underway. It's her 2nd time in monobob, and she finished 4th on her debut in St. Moritz last week.
And a real veteran in the field, Martin, a veteran in the fact that she used to be on the back of a lot of different sleds for Germany as a brakeman, and she moved up in the front seat until 2015. And, you know, very successful last weekend, top 3. She comes from track and field. Well, she was a discus hammer thrower. Probably knows the track as good as anybody.
Slightly slower conditions today because the humidity have definitely helped a little bit. The sleds were very, very wild in the final day of training. We were watching them on Thursday. Lots of skids and slides. Schneider looks like she's got this under control, though. Maybe that they're going for slightly narrower runners than they would be used to. 5th
track record.
So there was a previous record set by Canada's Cynthia Appiah back in December of 2019, so over a year ago. But that was in the old-fashioned plank sleds without articulation, and that was one of Cynthia's early drives in the monobobs. So this year's generation of sleds are a whole different ball game.
4 hits, not the 3. Really under great control down here in the doodles, or this little 3-corner labyrinth that, boy, caused some havoc in the women's skeleton race. Can cause havoc in the bobsled, but the men's bobsled race this morning, Martin, sleds seem to be in pretty much control all the way down the track. She's the rabbit, first one down.
Yeah, so as ever, the bobsled drivers and brake women doing all their own heavy lifting. Next up, Elana Myers-Taylor for the USA. It's a second monobob race for her as well. Her first encounter with these sleds was in St. Moritz. She'd not driven one before. She finished in 5th place there. You saw Lolo Jones helping with the sled. Lolo here, she was pushing in training. Not sure who's going in the women's race tomorrow. But Elana, like Stephanie Schneider, former brake woman, so this bit she's used to. Running up the sled to the front, not so much.
Best start as she had in St. Moritz. This was a brakeman who won a bronze medal in the 2010 Winter Olympic Games in Vancouver. And next season she was out on tour and always been one of the better starters in the field. That is for sure, Martin. Ooh, big mistake there. That's going to erase a lot of speed. Be very surprised if she's the leader after this curve coming up. And she's had some issues with the exit of this curve. 100 back. That's the relativity to the mistake up in the bend away above the Kreisel. She's finishes within 10-1500. She'll be lucky.
Yeah, second best speed. How much will it cost her at the line? She is only 300s back. So some good lines down at the bottom. She recovered well below the Kreisel. Yeah. Like you say, all of that skidding on the bend away definitely took speed out of the sled. She put some back in.
She was 1500s to the 1500s plus before those skids. But here's the exit of 8. This is where it starts, the exit of the 4S's. Wasn't comfortable coming out there. And then after she hits, it pings twice, 1, 2, and that puts the back end in a skid. If you hit with both bunks together, Martin, you can come straight. When you did what she did there, that caused the skid. Here in the uphill section of the track, Martin, I dare say, she did well because she took a +5 and got it down to a +3. Well within striking range for the second heat.
Big smile on her face. And Van Nieuwenhuis was confessing to me yesterday, these are a real handful. It's her second start in a monobob as well. Finished in 14th in St. Moritz. Although she did start her career as a brake woman, she is definitely not in the Kaylee Humphries, Stephanie Schneider league of push starters.
583, Martin. That is, wow. That's 3,800s back. And, this is probably the shortest athlete in the field, Martin, but didn't she come from basketball?
I guess basketball, it's not a big height issue in Belgium, but, and that is the deal with this. That's the deal as an Olympic sport. It's going to really play strongly to former brake women or real power athletes who are also drivers because you need that start.
Well, she's 4,800s in the 3,200s to the leader. Ooh, that's going to cost her in the uphill section. Yeah. So she gets within 99 tenths here. 82. Considering the start time, that's pretty good. She was
30. The coach.
3,200s down at the start. She should be 9,600s down at the bottom. That's that old wives' tale that we use. And so. And she made that big mistake on the exit of Ecovon in the uphill section.
Yeah. She had good speed into Echo, but here in the S's, the rhythm is everything, John. You've got to get on and just hold the line, nice smooth line.
She got high there.
Not too much steering.
Let's see how she gets. Yeah. She had to steer there. Look at the skid coming out. That's because she was a little high in the 3rd S. Steered hard in the 4th S. Here's the mistake though, Martin. Driving it into the wall in the uphill section.
Not
well, Now, among our monobob sliders, Bree Walker of Australia has a lot of experience. She's had 9 monobob races so far. She's won 6 and had a silver medal in another one. Her worst result has been a 4th place. She was a gold medalist in Innsbruck, only 7th, though, in St. Moritz. And this is in the new generations of sled. Did not have a good time in St. Moritz. Now, in the overall World Series, there have been races...
Different animal.
Yeah. In the overall World Series, there have been races in Park City as well as here in Europe. So there have been 3 races in Park City. Nicole Vogt of the USA won 2 of them and took silver in the other one behind Jamaica's Carrie Russell. So Vogt actually is our current World Series leader, despite the fact that we haven't seen her in Europe.
300s. Big skid, she'll be penalized. Ooh, big skid there in the counter curve before the Kreisel. 4th best speed, red numbers. Let's see what she does down here in the doodles. Only 2/10 back. 3rd place run, this could be. Got away from her up in the bend away. That didn't help there. Ooh, look at the carving of ice in that curve 12 there, Martin.
Yep.
Wow.
Half a second back.
4900s back. A lot of driving errors for Brianna. Of course.
Well, she's got speed at the start.
Sitting here.
She's got speed at the start and she knows the sleds. Now she's just got to really dial herself into the new style of sled, which she's got not more experience than any of our other sliders, but really rocking into the sled there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be different techniques. And this is the technique you want to go straight. And, you know, with these being a little lighter, they're harder to control. Look at that back end there. That's what you call carving some ice. And you do that, Martin. And then this is, watch how hard she hits here, going uphill. Bang, bang. Skid. There was 2500s there, Brianna.
I run home, go to bed.
Yeah, the drivers are saying that these sleds are so hard to judge because there's no pressure, there's much less weight, you don't feel the feedback from the steering mechanism. Next up, Sergeeva Sergeeva, her 3rd race in these new sleds. She was the gold medalist in the 1st race of the new generation in Winterberg a couple of months back, and she finished in 6th in Innsbruck, I beg your pardon, didn't race in Innsbruck, she was 13th in St. Moritz.
1000s back at the start, but the 4th best speed, you know, so she had the 4th best start, 4th best speed, that worked. And let's see how smooth she can be in this amusement park ride section of the track. Excellent, really well done. Until I said that, I jinxed her.
Now the first race
holding
in
what she had at the
Winterberg,
start.
First race in Winterberg was basically a Europa Cup field. It didn't have lots of regular World Cup stars in, but she did win that. So she's got a decent feeling with the sled, but it let her down a little in St. Moritz. Only 13th place. How close is she going to be? Behind Bree Walker? No, just ahead of Brianna Walker by 0.08 of a second.
Considering she had the 4th best start, she drove herself into a 3rd position. She'll be feeling much better about that run than she did last week in St. Moritz.
A little bit of a love-hate relationship with this track. Remember the World Championships? She was looking really strong in her first heat and then just crashed out.
Right there, up there in the 4th S. And here, she gets it into a skid, much like Elana Myers did. And here, how does she meticulously angle herself? Ooh, took a lot of curve there, Martin, and then a big bump. Yeah. That was some sliding away.
See how much the drivers get thrown around. Well, Stephanie Schneider, the leader from Elana Myers-Taylor and Sergeeva Sergeeva. Our first 5 sleds are down. Next up, Romania's Andrea Grecu, another slider who is a regular in the women's field but has done quite a lot in these monobobs. She was 4th in Winterberg, 6th in Innsbruck, 12th in St. At the moment, Andrea Grecu 9th in the point standings, but 100 points, which is nearly a whole win behind Nicole Vogt on the same number of races.
One of the bigger girls in the competition, a good athlete, Martin. We saw her as an 18, 19-year-old. Ooh, huge mistake there for the S's. We saw her as an 18, 19-year-old brakeman, and then she got behind got in the front seat. She's done well, but not here. Ooh. Carving ice there. Ooh. 4th best start, but she's into the 6th best speed. Boy, she's gonna have all she can do to stay in the top 5. She should stay in the 5th position. Maybe not. Skidding.
Yeah.
5th, 79. She did stay there, just barely ahead of Ann.
300s ahead of Ann van Nieuwenhuis. And how much did she outstart? She outstarted van Nieuwenhuis by 3/10. That was just about every mistake you can make on the Koenigsegg track made there, including in Teufelsmühle, the first left before you even get to the S's. She was skidding there.
You got to come out of this curve and be straight. And she came out of there and just look what happens. And this is the top of the track where you're trying to, we haven't seen anybody do that in the 2-man or the first 6 sleds down in this competition. Look at it climb. Now look at the runner marks. You can see she's higher. She's got the highest runner mark in this race. There's the little red flag that sort of tells the athletes, I better get out of here. Look at the back end skidding there, Martin. That's down on the bottom part of the track where you're going uphill, 12-13.
That's where she's on a bit late, trying to bring the nose of the sled down in the right place, but the rear is walking around. Next up, Martina Fontanive, 3rd monobob race for her. She raced in Winterberg. Did not race in Innsbruck. She was due to, but she was nursing an injury and saved herself for the women's race, as Kati Weil is doing today. But on home ice last week in St. Moritz, bronze medal. Very pleased indeed with that.
And she also brought you and I a chocolate bobsled the next day for the interview.
Yes, she did. So she
heard us
an extra
talking about it.
20 points just for that. And her teammate, who was the bronze medalist in the women's race, Melanie Hassler, has just finished bronze yesterday in the Junior Worlds. So that's why she's not here this weekend.
She'd be in this race too.
Yep.
2nd best speed, pretty good. She's 6th at the moment, but she's bringing it back. This could be a top, maybe get 3rd.
Well, this is exactly what we saw her do in St. Moritz.
Yeah, she's coming.
She may not have the start,
she's doing well,
but she's driving well.
She
and
can
how
drive.
far back?
Yeah,
900s back.
Look at that. She's 10 hundredths behind at the start and only 9 at the bottom. That's a great drive.
That is
little
good
mistake
driving
in the uphill section.
So Martina Fontanive lying in 3rd place in our first heat, and 900s covers the top 3. And again, look, the old style, rocking the sled. Yeah. She did that in St. Moritz. She knows she needs everything she can get, doesn't she?
Yeah, she doesn't have those hips and legs that you see from Schneider or Myers-Taylor or, Brianna Walker. But, hey, she's got some good eyes and hands. She's showing it here, Martin. But this uphill section into the finish, flops there. But this is where she made the time up, Martin. You do the subtractions from point A to point B. She was good on the bottom.
Pretty happy with that run. Next up, Mariama Yamanca hasn't been happy with either of her runs in monobob so far. 8th in Innsbruck, 11th in St. Moritz. And again, it's just getting your head around something utterly different. But She's an Olympic champion. She will go to Beijing to defend one Olympic medal and to try and be the first ever to gain a second Olympic medal. And that's what this is all about, to give the women equality with the men.
Martin, she's got a challenge just to get out of the German program. I mean, there's 3 or 4 German athletes here that, you know, they only sent 3 to the games. There's 4 or 5 that are looking at all being on that Olympic team. So,
well, certainly Lara Nolter, Kim Kalicki,
perfect.
they've got a great chance.
Schneider,
Yeah,
you know, is in there. That's the 4th one. Here, this is not bad, but she's way back. She's looking for 4th. She's going to challenge Sergeeva here in the bottom.
yeah.
She's going to be 5th.
She may not be ahead of Australia's Brianna Walker, and she got away with that.
Really? 6th. Yeah.
There's
no
Lady
one
Phoebe,
knows
her
there.
brake woman, going, what went on with that? Again, you know, if you are driving on feel, and they are driving on feel every bit as much as a race car driver, you change the feel of the steering, and it takes a lot to adapt to it. And don't forget, in their 6 training runs, they had to split their time between monobob and their regular bobsleds. So they're confusing themselves all the time.
Well, the men have to drive a 2-man and a 4-man. The 2-man's a sports car, the 4-man's a sport utility. How do you describe this one? I mean, the 2-woman sled is a sports car. How do we describe this, Martin?
Well,
Come on, we
it's
got to
kind
come
of
up
like
with
a
something.
unicycle.
Look at the skidding.
Yeah.
Not a unicycle.
It is like a
It's
unicycle, isn't it? Super light, and it's got no control.
No, it's not a... Joel, we got to come up with something better than unicycle.
So no Catty Bile. She's keeping herself healthy for tomorrow, and that's a shame because she's been trying to learn these sleds. Melanie Hassler absent here, 4th in the World Cup standings, but at the Junior World, so she doesn't race here, and she will slip down the order. Kaylee Humphries, though, our winner in St. Moritz. That was the only time she's driven these sleds. She had not seen it before St. Moritz. She did drive the old school sleds, the plank sleds, a couple of years ago. Took maybe 4 or 5 trips. So she had some idea of what she was in for.
Start 5:59, pretty much what she did last week, but of course that was a 1,500-meter track. This is a 1,200-meter track, 1,100's back, so if the next clock she stays within 1,500s, means she stopped the bleeding and she'll rely on her eyes and hands. Oh, she has stopped the bleeding, and she is relying on her eyes and hands. And wouldn't be surprised if she has the top speed, which she does. Wow. And Kaylee Humphries is starting to show that maybe she likes this little small sled.
Well, Katie loves a challenge of something new, doesn't she? That much we know about her. And we also know she knows how to win on ice. 1,700s up. Suddenly it's a very different race. She'll be 2/10 in front. A new track record. She is 3/10 of a second in front. Wow, that is a huge bottom part of the track.
Now, everybody's going to be looking. Listen.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah, but I can do the chicanes better.
You got one more. Mine is...
We don't need replay if we get her to talk like that. I can do the chicane better, she said. She was very happy with the bend away here, you know. But here's what she was talking about. She could do it better. Well, maybe she got too close to that wall. That's what she's talking about.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah, she hits hard here, Martin. Yeah.
And that's where you have to adapt. You know, in that split second, she just steered like she would a normal sled that's just slightly slower to react. And the monobob just tucked in and clipped the wall. And that then puts her offline for the next 2. So, but wow.
Kaylee, that was terrible. You only got a 30/100 sleeve. That was terrible, Kaylee, what you just did.
Well, next up, Melissa Lotholz. Last time we saw her on a sled was here in Koenigsegg, but they were pulled out of the race. She crashed out too many times in training, and so didn't get to race.
Look at this
but
start.
she was, gold in Innsbruck in January.
Second best start of the race.
Not a World Cup race, that one.
She's made a mistake, big mistake there going into the first S. Would be surprised we see red numbers here pretty quick. Yeah. Well, she makes a big mistake up there. She gets through there without hitting any walls, but that's a lot of steering. 8th best speed. Ooh. Adjustment. Watch out here. She's hanging in there. You know, she doesn't have a lot of experience in the front seat.
Yeah.
Martin, you know.
Well, she does in Monobob. She's done quite a few Monobob races. She's done a lot of North America's Cup racing in 2-seater sleds as well.
6.
But that was really getting away from her. I mean, watch it when we see the replay in the Kreisel. She's fighting the front of the sled and the rear. And part of the deal with these sleds is the teams have to learn what runners you need, how the sleds react to them, because what you know from the 2-seater sled no longer applies.
Well, this is up top where the mistake is going into the S's. Now watch her get to the wrong side. Now look her try to bring it back over to the take-on, and we heard bang. And that's where it threw her into this curve here, and the big steer. That's the 3rd corner on the course, Martin, and that is where you really erase a lot of speed. And look at her drive around. She's driving around the bend away. You can't do that.
Well,
you got to hit. That's friction.
That used to be the Canadian way to drive around, but she just puts herself into a tail slide. Yeah. Okay, Melissa Lotholz is down in 6th position after our first 10 sleds, and we have 5 still to go in the first heat. 11th of our 15 starters in this Women's Monobob World Series race is 27-year-old Misha McNeil from Great Britain. It's her 5th drive in a monobob, her 3rd in this new generation. She finished in 5th in Innsbruck, 9th in St. Moritz. She had 2 races in old plank sled in March in La Plagne, finished on the podium in both of those. And they were pretty big fields, bigger than this actually, but not quite as many World Cup stars.
1200's back. That's enough to get her into a top 5 position with a good drive. Martin, and once in a while we see some good driving from this young British athlete, but not there. Hit, let it go. Just go straight. Take your medicine, 4 hits. Now the speed, 6th best speed. Well, we've seen some time being found on the bottom of the track in all the disciplines. Those are good lines. Exit of the uphill graveyard section, she's good. 4th best speed. Looks like an 8th or 7th maybe. 6th place, considering that start and the mistake out of the S's. Not bad. In fact, it's a tie for 6th place with Melissa Lotholz.
Tied with Melissa Lotholz. Well, she came down with a pretty good first part, and then as she came off S4, she had the timing wrong, and it just wouldn't forgive her down the bend away.
Yeah, look at that exit right there. You know, it was a lot of steering to get off that curve. And then here, just, you know, don't try and steer, just hit the wall, check, and go straight. But she had a little love affair for the wall there. Yeah. A lot of, what's your favorite saying about hitting everything in sight? More hits than Elvis?
Well, that was proper pinball wizard down the bend away, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And this is where she builds the speed again.
Yeah, she came back on the bottom.
Yeah. Well, those are the 2 key areas. Out of S4, it went wrong. Out of Kreisel, she fought back. Next up, Cynthia Appiah, like Melissa Lotholz, a former World Cup and World Championship brakewoman. 30 years old, silver in the January race in Innsbruck, not the World Cup field.
Should be a good start here, Martin.
Wow.
Yeah. Track record, big time. You know, Elana Myers now has somebody to challenge her in that first 50-meter category. That's impressive. 3/10 of a lead, but nothing safe on this course. Too many gremlins on this course. 2600's there, and this is a good run.
She set the start record and the track record in the race here in December 2019. But that was in the old style sleds.
Variants.
Again, this is, whoa! Big hit coming off the Kreisel, and that is going to wipe out her speed.
Yeah, she had some variance in the Kreisel that was a little distracting. She's losing everything back. Now, ooh, she flops into the uphill section. This is really steep uphill right there. Another tie. 3 teams tied to the 100th of a second. 76 hundredths. Brianna Walker's 300ths from them. Sergeeva's 500ths in front of them. Martin, we have another 70s duel like we had in the men's bobsled.
Yeah, we
5
sure
teams
do.
in the 70s. Well,
so new start record by Cynthia Appiah.
I think there's a couple Canadian thinking about, I should have this lady pushing for me in the women's bob. That's a start right there. That's a, you know, here, look at the back end of the sled there. This is in the exit of the S's. And then the exit of those S's, this is what happened. She got in there, steered real hard on the take on. And Martin, she's steering to get around her. She should hit and go, look at, you know, boy, that's, she got through there, but what did it cost her? Here, she's late, really late into the doodles there. And
yeah, you kind of almost want a seatbelt in a monobob, don't you? Just to keep you stuck into the base of it. 3 to go. Next up is Kim Kalicki for Germany. 23-year-old was 7th in Innsbruck, her first ever monobob race. She didn't race in St. She wasn't in St. in fact. And so she was training up in Altenburg for the World Championships. So this is her 2nd ever monobob race. The Germans didn't get their sleds until the week of Eagles in December.
Her visor,
visor
comes down. I'll put that hard hit. Let's see if she carries the speed into the first curve, 7 to 11. That's norm. So she gets out of here about 14, 15 hundredths down. She should be a chance to challenge like she's done in 20 hundredths with a major error. 3, 4, 5. It's on the Elvis register there. 7th best speed. The nose of the sled goes up. Exit. Pretty good. A little late there. And the uphill section, this is where you can't touch anything. 6/10 back, 3rd best speed. Not very good finish here, Martin. 5th, 71, I said not very good, but she went, Martin, she went 11th all the way down, 9th in the Exeter Kreisel, and in the last 150 meters, she got it to 5th. So she found that German shortcut on the bottom. Drift, 1 hit, back end hits there. 2nd hit. Watch the variance here. Watch it climb right there, get away from her. Look at the runners. You can see the back runners. Now you can see them coming underneath the cowling there. So now she stopped steering there. It's coming straight. And this is the exit, and she's a little bit, I can't say late. That looks pretty textbook right there, Martin.
Pretty decent run from Kim Kalicki down in the bottom part of the track into 5th position. And she leads the sleds in the 50s, tied with Nadezhda Sergeeva. So we got a 2-way tie for 5th, a 3-way tie for 7th. Is that close enough for you? Next up, Christine de Bruin.
Martin, I just had a note from Mike Kahn on our discussion of what to call these sleds. So we call the 2-mans a sports car, the 4-mans are a sport utility. Mike Kahn suggests we call these things go-karts.
Yeah, they're light and twitchy. That's a pretty good shout. 5.62 getaway for Christine de Bruin. 16th in St. Moritz, really disappointed with her race there, but she got gold in Winterberg in her only other monobob race. That was the old sleds back in December 2018, though.
She's got it adrift, but she's got it within range of a top 3, 4th best speeds, respectable. Boy, she's cutting a lot of ice there. Late there. Now she's looking about a 8th place position, but we saw what Kalicki just did on the bottom. Went from 9th to 5th.
Whoa!
She's moving 7th, late there. Could be 6th.
Wow.
77.
It could
Another
have
one in
been.
the 70s, Martin.
Yeah.
Martin, she's 100th out of the 3-way tie. We have 1, 2, 3,
200s.
4, 5, 6, 7. Martin, we have 7 sleds in the 70s.
Yep.
Going to be a little shuffling of the deck.
Covered by 7 sleds, 800s of a second. Yeah.
It went around the D-ring thing again.
Uh-oh, she had a
She
problem.
got
Look at the back
trouble
end
with
of the
the steering
sled.
ropes.
We've had a few
Yeah.
sleds. Yeah. Few sleds have a problem there on the 4th S. Christina immediately got out of the sled and checked out the steering. And here she's a little late. Look at it. She's sliding there and hits on the flat part of that exit. She corrected well, but Martin, she was real loose on the bottom right here. This is in the graveyard. That's not what you want going uphill with that skid. And then look at the steering here. I mean, that's friction. That's the latest we've seen a sled so far this weekend on that curve.
I've not seen a monobob crash yet, but we got close with Christine and with Mariama Yamanca. Final sled in the first heat is Kim Yuran of Korea. The 28-year-old was 2nd in Lake Placid in November 2019. Of course, those are in the old sleds. The last race that she's had of any kind was in Park City in December 2019 in a North America's Cup race.
20 off the pace. She's going
This
to
will be
need.
dialing herself back in. She's not raced a bobsled, John, for over 12 months.
Well, she's been on the tracks, I'm sure, in Pyeongchang.
Yeah.
Pretty good line there, Martin. This, you know, hopefully she'll get some reward here with a top 5 speed. 2nd best speed.
2nd speed.
She had good lines. She had good lines there, Martin.
Good exit from the
10th
cars. Is
spot
she
now.
secretly German? Kim Yuran.
10th best.
This is a really nice looking run though. Smooth. Maybe she's just
2nd
got
best
too
speed
much
down here.
control.
Top
And
5.
across the line. Wow.
That's awesome. With that start time, the
listen.
14th best start time of 15 sleds, she puts it into the
Yeah.
top 5.
Did you hear the response from the Koreans watching at the top as well? They were full of it. Absolutely.
She's not small, Martin, which is good. She's got some quads on her. Wow. First time we've seen her, Martin. Top 5 result coming from the last sled down. Now watch her climb. You can see the rest of the runner marks. Look at the runners. You can see the front runners. When that front runner disappears, right about there, she stops steering. And now she's diving out of the Kreisel, and here's the extension to that picture. Runner tips. A little bit of a squeeze to get away from there. Martin, at least an A-. Boy, the back end came up, though.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Well, she hasn't raced in a World Cup since November 2017 in Whistler. She's raced twice in Whistler, once in Lake Placid, once in Pyeongchang in World Cup, but she's in the frame here. But as in St. Moritz a week ago, it is Kaylee Humphries who has set the pace. 7th only at the start. She was clearly more concerned about getting a clean start and getting loaded and ready for Teufelsmühle, the first curve. And the rest of the track
She only had
flowed well.
She only had the 7th best start, Martin, but Kaylee could probably drive anything.
Yep, Stephanie Schneider, Elana Myers-Taylor, 2nd and 3rd. And they are in a battle for the podium, you sense, with Martina Fontanive and maybe Kim Yuran. And behind them, from the tie for 6th down to Bree Walker in 12th, 7 sleds, 800ths of a second. That's going to be fun. No start for Catty Biles. She will not go in the 2nd heat. So our top 15 will go in reverse order in the 2nd run. And Van Nieuwenhuis will be first off. And we will wait to see who comes out with the gold medal here. So plenty to think about before the 2nd heat. Join John Morgan, me, Martin Haven, and the IBSF TV crew. We'll be back then with all the action from our deciding run here in Koenigsegg.